Welcome to the Urantia book. You have taken the time out of your day to contemplate spirituality, and the universe is smiling upon you for that. Anytime you look at these words, you are not only intellectually illuminated, but you are also spiritually uplifted. As I was saying before, some of the book is very heady and deep. Others parts of it are much easier and much more searing to comprehend, and they describe helpful ways to deal with our current states. This is called The Modern Problem. So we're going to read this and break it down as we go here. I want to thank everybody again for liking and subscribing to the videos. Helps me get the message out there for this life and world changing book. So please make sure you do that. The Modern Problem. The 20th century has brought new problems for Christianity and all other religions to solve. Now I'll say they're not usually good with this because of their dogmatizing and crystallization of truth. So that's why we need a new and living truth, okay? Even this book is just a block of wood when it's tightly shut and not put into practice. We need something that can grow and change because truth is living. The higher a civilization climbs, the more necessitous becomes the duty to, quote, seek first the reality of heaven in all of man's efforts to stabilize society and facilitate the solution of its material problems. So this is a great line because that's as simple as it needs to be. Seek first the realities of heaven. Then men's religions will complicate that, and people will argue, well, what do you mean by heaven? Well, do you mean 40 virgins heaven? Do you mean me being able to eat Kentucky Fried Chicken and shoot my gun heaven? But if you just go to the heart, it's right and wrong is written in your heart, okay? And if it's not, then that is why we can learn through spiritual revelation. But it is. If you're a normal minded person, then right and wrong is written on your heart. So you just have to break down and have an open mind towards, well, what is heaven? Well, we know that having 40 virgins, even on this level of reality, isn't something that is a good look. And that's not mastering your sexual desire or urge. That's not elevating yourself beyond the level of animal. That's simply feeding into it as much as possible. We know that firing off your gun and eating chicken is unhealthy even on this level of reality. So we know that why would it be considered godly, right? If God is truth, beauty, and goodness, what's beautiful about a boisterous noise that might annoy your neighbors, right? Even still, those are just the ideas of heaven. So if somebody is arguing that in their mind, saying, oh, well, how do you know? How does this book know? Well, let's go to the ideals of heaven. Things like love, right? Service mentality. Being a good neighbor, that is a service mentality. You wouldn't want to go to your neighbor's house and steal whatever he has, right? So if you just go to those ideals and search your heart, then you will know what this quote means, right? And so, but a great line is that what people need the most, they want the least. And that's part of the problem. That's part of the modern problem because what we need the most is God in our lives and not a religious, purely theology, right? We need a living God within our hearts. And what we want the least is that living God because when we look at that, it's going to have to make us do a real inward look and a real evaluation of myself and what I hold near, true, and dear. Okay, so you have all these Christian nationalists supporting all of this gun, the endless wars, military industrial complex. They're tied right in with that, and that is not heavenly, right? That is not the way of the divine. So if they search their hearts and they say, geez, God, is all this endless war? What about these victims? What about these poor people out there that don't know if they're going to have a bomb dropped on their head? Is that godly? Well, if they can just get past that program, and again, I'm not pointing negative to any of them because they've been programmed by the society, right? We've had a long genetic history that's also altered our propensities towards violence. And not only that, but it's exasperated every single generation with the new societal program, whatever it may be. And so nobody's to blame here. Nobody's calling out anybody, but this is about stripping away all of those things and going towards the essence and going towards the heart, right? But I would, every single day, I'll call out war as being one of the evils of man, violating another one's physical, um, you know, status. Okay, so truth often becomes confusing and even misleading when it is dismembered, segregated, isolated, and too much analyzed. And that's exactly what we have here. It's like you just have to live it. You just have to accept it. You just have to be it. If you go ahead and start to segment every single little thing, well, is this evil? Is that evil? Blah, 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 blah. You're going to isolate it so much and you're going to start doing those mental gymnastics and head trips. Living truth teaches the truth seeker aright only when it is embraced in wholeness and as a living spiritual reality, not as a fact of material science or an inspiration of intervening art. So remember, we're balancing the spiritual now with the purely physical and the mental. We also have this other realm that we need to balance, which is the spiritual. Religion is the revelation to man of his divine and eternal destiny. Religion is purely personal and spiritual experience and must forever be distinguished from man's other high forms of thought. So there you go, right there. If you're wondering what religion is by an advanced being, what would an advanced celestial being say religion is? Religion is the revelation to man of his divine and eternal destiny. Religion is purely personal. Okay, you can have an organized group of people who are worshiping together or something, but that just means they're having a personal experience in the presence of each other. In spiritual experience, and must be forever distinguished, okay, from what? Let's see. 1. Man's logical attitude toward the things of material reality. Man's aesthetic appreciation of beauty contrasted with ugliness. Man's ethical recognition of social obligations and political duty. So you can't tie them in like has been done with many of these things. The jihad, well, and the Israel, the Christianity, all of them do it, right? Because they all have that lower nature of man to input. Even man's sense of human morality is not, and in and of itself, religious. So you have to realize spirituality, religion is its own completely separate realm from philosophy. A great way to understand this is that there's really four discrete realms of understanding of reality. One is the physical, two is the mental, three is the spiritual, and four is the personal. Now, these are discrete realms, meaning that they're separate from each other. They're distinct from each other, as in if I think something doesn't fall out of my brain and become an object. But notwithstanding their intimate coordination with each other. So these things can be coordinated with spirituality, right? So you can appreciate beauty and say, wow, there must be a great divine God that created that beautiful mountain there. But you're not saying, oh, that mountain is God. Okay, you're not worshiping nature, you're worshiping the creator of nature. You're putting spirituality in its own separate realm, even when it comes to human morality. Because human morality, again, we pointed out, anything that's human in the universe is no more than 4 or 5%. It's a shadowy reality. So you could do your best on human reality, but people that are secularists, humanists, they call themselves secular humanists, but without that spiritual understanding of what we talked about earlier, seek first the reality of heaven, they're going to come up short. They're going to segregate certain facts, whether they be political ideologies. They're going to isolate them. They're not going to incorporate the idea, or the ideal, I should say, of cosmic unity. We are an entire cosmos under one God. Religion is designed to find those values in the universe which call forth faith, okay? A secular humanist would not need to do that. They don't call for faith, they shun faith. trust, and assurance. Religion culminates in worship. Religion discovers for the soul those supreme values which are in contrast with the relative values discovered by the mind. Such superhuman insight can only be had through genuine religion experience. So we're talking about superhuman, which is just more than human, which we have the capable of being more than human because we're indwelt by divinity. We have a spirit within us. A lasting social system without a morality predicated on spiritual realities can no more be maintained than could the solar system without gravity. That is 100% true. And if you want an example of that, look at every single civilization that's ever existed on Earth. We've never had a spiritual motivated civilization. We had religious motivated civilizations, but we've never had one that's living truth about the brotherhood and sisterhood of all and the fatherhood of God or motherhood, whatever. We don't get caught up in word symbols here. And so just keep that in mind. It's not going to happen. It's never going to happen. Don't even pretend don't even think that it's going to happen. It's just not. It needs to have that basis of, you have to it's like an athlete. We're looking at the Olympic Games now. An athlete trying to win a competition without reaching in to their inner soul, without going in and giving it their all. Are they going to be able to win if they're just, I don't know, I thought I'd do this today. I don't know. That's not a great example. Okay. Do not try to satisfy the curiosity or gratify all the latent adventure surging within the soul in one short life in the flesh. So this is really pertinent personal advice. Be patient. Be not tempted to indulge in a lawless plunge into cheap and sordid adventure. Harness your energies and bridle your passions. Be calm while you await the majestic unfolding of an endless career of progressive adventure and thrilling discovery. So expand your view beyond just this one short life in the flesh and relax and flow. Don't try to get it all now. The people that do try to get it all now sell their soul at the cost, and then they end up getting all the money in the world, whatever they want, all the sex in the world, all the power in the world, but they have to sell their soul. They're not going to get anything else in the afterlife, and they know that. And when they sell their soul, they're given the secrets in order to control the rest of the fellow man. So we want to let this unfold, okay? We don't have to try to, even the things, any reward that you would receive in this life is going to be you wouldn't even care for it, even in the very next life. It's going to be dog meat in the very next life. In confusion over man's origin, do not lose sight of his eternal destiny. Forget not that Jesus loved even little children, and that he forever made clear the great worth of human personality. Remember, this is a different view of Jesus from Christianity. It's not burdened with a lot of those things. So don't let the word Jesus throw you off from anything right here. Just think of it as a matchless personality, a perfected being who exemplified everything that we can hope to in one short life in the flesh, okay? As you view the world, remember that the black patches of evil which you see are shown against a white background of ultimate good. You do not view merely the white patches of good which show up miserably against a black background of evil. So don't be dominated. They're just simply tiny little dots on a big white sheet of paper when you see, this instance or this instance. When there is so much good truth to publish and proclaim, like we're doing here, why should men dwell so much upon the evil in the world just because it appears to be a fact? The beauties of the spiritual values of truth are more pleasurable and uplifting than is the phenomenon of evil. Okay, so even people that feel like they're good and moral people, they're going to dwell on what they don't like about the other political party, or this picture that was taken at the Olympics, or this performance that was taken at the Olympics, and they say, oh, that's against my religion, and let's dwell on that, and let's, at a certain point, you have to go to these ideals, right? With somebody making that out in a angry way. Well, if they were, well, that's again, we don't do that. Then that person is being anti-God, right? If they're saying, oh, I'm going to make this to really, stick it to those Christians, then I would speak out against that mentality, right? I would understand why that person would have that. Maybe they had a lot of trauma or something like that, and now this is their way of sticking back to the Christians who have, ridiculed them for many years or something. But then when the Christians see that picture, they have to say, well, we don't know. We don't know what his intention was. We can just look at it as art. I can choose that I don't agree with the art. I personally don't appreciate the art, but I don't know what his intention is. So I'm not going to sit there and dwell on it, right? And get caught up in this little tiny fact that has nothing to do. It's not bringing anybody closer together. That's not any part of Jesus's message to say, you need to dwell on. He said, hate the sinner, love the sin. I mean, other way around. Hate the sin, love the sinner, right? And so that person should be loved, and by everybody. By everybody should love everybody. Okay, believers and non-believers, and which is unfortunate. That's not what Christianity or religions have become. It's become um, an organizational group of believers only, a fellowship of believers. In religion, Jesus advocated and followed the method of experience, even as modern science pursues the technique of experiment. We find God through the leadings of spiritual insight, but we approach this insight of the soul through the love of the beautiful, the pursuit of truth, loyalty to duty, and the worship of divine goodness. But all these values, love is the true guide to real insight. Boom! Okay, that's one of those things you read and you're like, geez, I wonder, what is this all about? Well, this is all you have to remember. Okay, so I'll just leave you off with this. Man complicates, God simplifies. All right, thanks for watching, everybody. Leave me those comments, questions, or anything like that. And like and subscribe, please. Take care.